Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey there, welcome to Ask TJ About Marketing. I'm your host, Terry Johnson from Terry Johnson Online. I'm a marketing specialist and I have several years experience in marketing research, marketing strategy, and advertising. So we're here today to talk about basic marketing questions that you may have, and you want to get that information because you want to grow your business or your brand online, on social media. Everybody's doing that right now. So you may have some marketing questions that you need answers to. So this is the place where you'll get those answers. So let's get right into today's question. Are you ready? Here it is. So excuse me, what I want to talk about is long and short content because of the things that we just said, because of generative AI tools. Now we've got to get into the fact of we've got to make content that is effective. And now there's a tool where everybody can make content. I mean, you could before, but now really, I said that easy button at the beginning of the show. I said this is the easy button. Why? Because a 3-year-old can do it. So everybody can. So in an era when anybody has this tool that allows you to be a samurai master, how do you stand out? Well, we got to look at some content strategies. So that's the short-term strategy. And let me read you this. Short-term content strategy focuses on creating content that is relevant and timely with the goal of attracting immediate attention and driving short-term results. That's like trending topics, trending events, different things that you can do that is in the moment. And we call that newsjacking and then some other words. Versus long-term content strategy focuses on creating content that is evergreen, remains relevant and valuable to your audience for an extended period of time. That's in-depth guides, tutorials, thought leadership pieces, videos that are about a topic that is evergreen. That there's an example. I was listening to the guy from Think Media, and he said answer specific questions, and he said there's a video that's like 11 years old on YouTube, and the person was like how to hammer a nail. It was something real simple, but It was made 11 years ago. The thing is still cranking up. Right, bringing people to the channel, answering questions because it answers the question. But this is the question that doesn't change. So you want to think about that. So short term versus long term. Now, one is not better than the other. You need both of them. Short term will bring people in quickly, but they may stay for the long content that you have.
Right.
That's why on YouTube they have shorts. The shorts brings people into the long.
Why is that? You don't know the length before you click on it.
Exactly. How do I get people to click on my piece of content? How do I get the attract? It's the headline.
Right.
The headline doesn't say, okay, here's how to create effective content and it's 5,000 words. You wouldn't click on that. You click on the one that's attractive, engaging, gets the attention, and then you're writing content that you're the resource. You know what you're talking about. You're the expert. But in the world, you could be an expert because you have X amount of experience in that industry. You know when you open your mouth, people know you know what you're talking about.
So your conversation, the things you talk about need to match up for it to be trusted.
Right. And see, this is another thing. Some people don't want to do that. They don't want to write blog posts of 5,000 words. They don't want to do a live. They don't want to, but that's how you look at what ChatGPT is doing. It's getting all the content that's ever been created since the internet was created. So if you haven't been creating content, it's not going to know you.
Right.
But you want people to buy from you just
Now,
because you put up. I use ChatGPT to make a course. So
no, but I don't know you.
I don't know you. I don't know if you know what you talk about. I don't know if you can make sense. You haven't shown me. You haven't proved it to me. No, like, trust. It's not going away. This is why we have to look at strategy all the time. We have to refine it. It has to be something. And I always say you don't have to, make a pitch deck that you're going to the bank for a loan or an elaborate plan, paper and pencil. Write down your goal. What do I want? Then you say, how do I get there? You can use your phone. There's tons of tools. What do I want? How do I get there? That's it. Once you have those things, because we have ChatGPT and generative AI tools, you can go to those tools and say, flesh this out. Finish this thought. Give me more. And it does. I'm not saying it's correct, but you're the expert. So hey, I never thought to put it that way. I got the knowledge here, but I never thought to write it that way. I never thought to combine those words that way. And then you take it and you say, hey, I'm going to go through with my little red pen. Remember that little, you go to school and the teacher got a red pen on your essay?
Yeah.
Make it yours. If you're making content that's long-term strategy, like evergreen stuff, questions that people always have. They're always going to have, no matter the tool. They had the questions before social media. How were they answered? Telephone or some other way. But now that we have social media, they're answered online. You want to be the one answering the specific questions. Answer specific questions. And you do that in the form that is, one, that you feel comfortable in, and two, that your target audience, the people that are most receptive to that message, might be hanging out. And it doesn't mean every platform. If you're in a woman-centered area, wellness, fashion, hair, you might want to be on Pinterest instead of Instagram. Or you might want to do both. Or you might want to do more Pinterest and a little bit less Instagram. It depends. How do you know? There's something called analytics. Every platform has it. It tells you not instantly, but it tells you, and it will compare. YouTube has the best analytics. Like they go really deep. But you can see what piece of content works. And you go, well, why do I need that? So you know what works.
Right. You're supposed to know what's happening with your marketing, because if you had hired a marketing company, they would have to show you the stats. They would have to tell you.
Yes, you get reports.
Yes, but because we are doing it ourselves, DIY, we need to utilize the tools that the platforms have so that we can make intelligent decisions.
Right. So you've got to do this. This is why content is the thing, is going to, okay, how do I stand out? How do I be seen? Now we've got ChatGPT and everybody and their mama is making good content. They think. But there's still rules and practices, business rules and practices, marketing rules and practices that will apply no matter what tool shows up. See? That foundation never changes. Once you get the understanding of the foundation, doesn't matter what tool they throw at you. So that's what I'm saying. Don't get upset over this ChatGPT. More fish in the water. It's more fish in the ocean now. That's all. Now we got to go, okay, we really got to stand out now, and there's ways to do it. And all that will be based on your creativity, how you brand yourself. You'll still talk, but you'll do something different. If they're doing red, you're going to do blue.
Right.
Okay. Is everybody with me? Because I want you to understand. I feel like I'm over talking about this ChatGPT, but it's only because I've gotten deep into it. Yes, you can put it in and ask it, make me a course on, but you can do that. But does it have soul? Does it have engagement properties? Will it reach the right people? That's to come. But again, once it gets to a place where it's going to be, we won't be able to distinguish it from a human, whatever. There's still going to be something to make us stand out as business owners. So I'm telling you, don't worry. I'm here to alleviate your fears.
I think it will work because in my industry, there are certain things that doesn't change. Like there are things that you have to do to buy a house, to get ready to buy a house. They don't change. But the way that I say it is different.
Yes.
And I have to put my spin on those same basic pieces of information.
Yes. And see that, I'm glad you brought that up, because see, this brings up always another thing I like to talk about is why people buy. I love to, I'm reading business psychology books. There's Robert Cialdini, I get his name mixed up. It's the Psychology of Influence, I think it is. He's written like, he's on like maybe the 5th version of it. He wrote it a while back, but it's like why people buy, the psychology of the human mind, what drives them. When you know that, that's an extra edge. That's an extra edge. You know, we there's also a level of mastery we have. So that's what I'm saying. If you have that level of mastery as a copywriter and you're afraid of ChatGPT, don't be, because, and I think I brought this up last week, that especially with the AI that creates the graphics, you tried it, right? And the eyes it looks like Picasso or something, or Salvador Dali and things.
It was weird. I was like, okay,
yes,
I cannot use that.
And people think, look at my baby, isn't it great? I'm like, that thing is weird and ugly and scary. And this is the thing with content. You're trying to make it perfect for social media. This is not college. This is not school where you have the essay and you have the grammar this and the Oxford comma. Social media.
Right.
You want to write conversationally because you're having a conversation. So we're moving to the next level. ChatGPT. You got to learn how to write in ChatGPT language. That is a skill, to know what to put in, and to different ones, because different platforms give you different things. If you use Midjourney, you'll get something different. If you use DALL-E 2, you get something different. If you use Stable Diffusion or something, you'll get something different, because it's based on different, and there's different types. There's like, there was a drop down list of like, what style? I'm like, what style? There's different based on the language. Let me give you, back to this long versus short, let me give you some benefits. Just a quick list. Long-term content strategy provides sustainable results. That means you'll have sustainable. That means it'll be there. When the question is asked, the answer will appear. Because you put it on YouTube, or you've put it on your newsletter and you've asked them to join, or you put it on Facebook, or you put it on Instagram and they're doing it. Whatever it is, it's there waiting. But it has to be there waiting. So if you don't make it, if you don't make that piece of content to answer that specific question, someone else is going to get that. Okay? Somebody else is going to get the benefit. Another one, long-term content strategy builds authority and trust. We talked about that it helps you with connected to your audience, that evergreen information, because you're showing your expertise. You're showing what you're talking about when you open your mouth and start talking, or you do a podcast, or you write a blog post. Like Mark was saying, the 5,000 words, that's a lot of words, but you can decide how long you want your blog post to be. But what you're doing is you're building that following, whether it's people that read your newsletter, your blog post, they're listening to your podcast, because you're releasing it at a certain day and time every week, if you're doing weekly or bi-monthly, whatever you're doing. And you're letting people know, hey, my podcast is out. Did you know I had a podcast? Blah, 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 blah. You do that on social media. That's the short-term content. You still want to do that, but you want to drag. You want to direct them, not drag. You want to direct them to the long-term content. So also, long-term content strategy is cost-effective. That means because you're making content, and this is even before ChatGPT, and I keep bringing it up, but the cost of the time involved in making content is much shorter now, much shorter. So you can make more, okay? But you can make more short-term content with these tools and miss the mark, and it's okay because you didn't put a lot of effort into it. Or you could say, I'm going to use it to help me create long-term strategy or long-term content, because ChatGPT and these other tools can give me an outline. They can help. I can give it an idea, a phrase, and it can give you so much from that people are copying and pasting wrong. You're using it as inspiration, because I asked it, give me a list of titles for a blog post. I like half of one, I like half of the other, and I was like, okay, I'll take that and put it together. So did ChatGPT write that, or did I write that? It helped me. Same thing with, before we had computers, we had to use a typewriter, and you had to write your essay, your term paper, your dissertation, whatever. You had to write it long form and then mess up, and it had those the pens with the eraser, and then the paper would, remember that? And then the typewriter came and was like, oh. Then the computer came. I can speak into the computer and it's going to write what I say. So now you can give it commands.
So what you're saying is the ChatGPT and all of them, they're just tools, because it still requires me.
Yes,
to make it work.
Requires the human. We're not there where it doesn't need the human. It's sitting there waiting until you give it a command. If you don't give it a command, it's silent. Just like with the voice things that I have here. Once I give it a command, she wakes up and answers my question. So, I mean, I don't know how many. I want you to get it. I know a lot of people don't get it. So I'm going to wrap this up with just a takeaway. So you want to have short-term content. You want to have a strategy for that. And that means stories. If you want to think of short-term content, stories in Instagram, stories in YouTube, little bits and bites of something in whatever app you're in. Pinterest even has it called idea pins, but at least Pinterest is a good example, because when you create an idea pin or a pin, it leads to your blog post, it leads to your Instagram post, it leads to your Facebook page, it leads to your YouTube channel or a specific video. It can lead to your podcast page or a specific podcast, depending on, okay, I want people to see this podcast episode because I talked about XYZ. Let me go to Instagram and make a little what do you call those little audiograms where it has a little thing, the little waveform, and then it says, oh, if you want to hear an entire podcast episode, go to my link in bio. I don't know how else we can put this. So you want to think about, you building a foundation for your brand success that can provide sustainable results, build authority and trust, and you want to build that community. Now, I hope this discussion that we had today about today's marketing question helps you in some way to better understand marketing strategy, and those things you need to do to grow a business or brand online with social media today. So these questions are designed to give you some basic information. So if you have additional questions, or you need a little bit more clarification, or you need some, you're not really sure, reach out to me, Terry Johnson Online, at terryjohnsononline.com, or go to your favorite social media platform and find me. Just search for Terry Johnson Online, and I'm on all the major platforms. So just reach out, give me a message, and let me know what questions you have, and I will try to answer them. Okay, so I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you next time.